Okay, let's have a look at probably the best game so far of the Olympiad between two exceptionally strong players. One, Richard Rapport, who's 27-15, and as white, Vasilil Ivanchuk, who's fresh off beating the USA last round. And, his win against the USA was enough to beat them. So he's still, he's a veteran player, he's still extremely strong. And sparks were about to fly, I think, here. Two really aggressive players. So we have a Grunfeld, and it looks fairly standard. Bishop f4, not really known as being overly aggressive, but with the way Ivanchuk's going to play it, it's going to go a bit crazy. So the main problem here for white is his king on e1. So white's he's got a lovely center. At some point he could take this pawn and go e4. But this king on e1, this bishop on f1, they're a lot slower than black. So black's already castled. He's got 3 pieces already out. He's got time to push these pawns, get the knight in. And I think practice has shown Grunfeld's really good at creating counterplay, particularly if white doesn't get his king castled. So he goes c5, which is natural because it looks quite risky to have this pawn here, but often with the king exposed here, we don't really mind as black having, even if we lose one of these pawns, this king is going to be so exposed. So black exchanged an f3 in order to play this move. So why does he play that? Well, I think what he's trying to do is get his queen to a5 and just put pressure on this queen side. Because this king, again, he's still 2 moves from castling. So we see in the game, Rapport notices this and plays queen c6. Now, I wonder here, I thought it during the game, I still think it now, actually. I think here, white should be a lot more careful than he was. Because according to the engine, the best move is the one Ivanchuk played, which is bishop d5. But the problem with bishop d5 is, practically speaking, once you allow this move, or anything, even queen a6, stopping you castling, it's going to be really difficult over the board to try and defend this. Because even though the engine's saying 1.7, no, actually, white's actually better here. I'm looking at this position and I'm thinking, this does not look like a plus 1.7. You need to play like an engine to win this. So the move that the engine wants here, bishop h6. So you're going to go for f7, so the rook can't move. And we're getting into some crazy complications with knight d3, bring the knight back, and it's just a complete mess. But according to the engine, white's going to come out slightly on top with this move, something like this. So he's going to sat this rook. He's going to get some compensation, get his knight in, the queen in. And honestly, I don't know. I think black would have chances here anyway, even if they'd gone into this. In the game, he played a4, and so already black is equal, because a4's an error. Let's go into this. And Reports just sacks this knight. Just says, fine, take it. So he's going to argue that this knight is going to come in somehow, or via a6, maybe even rook c8, go on here at some point. So he goes a6, going for this move, so he stops it. And already, actually, white is actually in a few moves of that 1.7 position. He's now minus 0.03, so yeah, you can see the game's sort of getting a little difficult for him. So he pins his bishop e5, double question mark. So here, white needs to be really careful and think of a really good move. The engine wants bishop h6, similar plan to before. After this, so wow, Ivanchuk says to black, you better find some sort of checkmate here, because if you don't, I'm just going to go checkmate on g7. So traditional moves there's no real traditional way to defend g7. So this is how black stops g7. He just takes this bishop. This is a lovely aesthetically pleasing move. Knight b8 goes right the way back. Also goes to c6, and suddenly white's actually kind of running out of squares for his king. So rook d1's best here. I guess you can just play knight c6 then, get the exchange back, and then you've just got a much better position. So queen f4, and just f6. And yeah, this is just lost. Yeah, this is just game over. White is losing everything. I think just f6, just to kill a move. There's nothing, his king can't move anywhere. Has to take, and then, yeah, he's losing his queen. So a really fascinating game. Your report that, that's just incredibly intuitive and masterful sacrifice of a piece, knowing that you'd get dynamic counterplay.